Hey, what's up, YouTube? Today I want to do a video on a basic comm setup and kind of just go over my setup that I'm running, just to give some of you guys that are maybe new to comms or new to radios just a general idea of some good entry-level options, and kind of just go over some items that I'm running on my kit, just like I said, to give you guys some ideas, and just mention a couple upgrades that I like for the UV5R. And that's going to be the radio I'm talking about today, is the Baofeng UV5R. I'm sure plenty of you guys have already heard about this. I kind of wanted to just go over a couple upgrades that I recommend for it, and just a couple hacks that I've learned have helped me a lot as far as running it on my kit. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so before we go over the parts and the items, let's go over a couple reasons why you should consider even getting a radio. So let's say besides the training aspect, let's just say you're a person that goes camping. Let's say you want to prepare for disaster, natural disaster, civil unrest, whatever. Let's say you go off-roading. Let's say power goes out for some reason or you don't have service. It's always nice to be able to have some type of communications or some type of way to communicate, or at least be able to hear an emergency broadcast. That way you can know what to prepare for or what's going on. Obviously without having electricity or cable, out of power or whatever have you. So I just feel like those are a few reasons that I think we should all have a radio. If you're a husband out there or a father, whatever, I think you should consider getting your loved ones radios as well. I'm in the process of making sure all my loved ones have radios, and we're all going with the Baofeng right now. Speaking of the Baofeng UV5R, this is a ham radio. For those of you that don't know about ham radios, you do technically need a license, but that's kind of the part I wanted to talk about. That sounds intimidating. It's really easy to get a license if you do want to be able to transmit on these legally with the FCC, but just so you know, you do not need a license to listen on these, whether it's FM radio, whether it's frequencies, whatever you're listening to, emergency broadcast, you can always listen without a license. So it is legal to have these or get these without a license at all. That's why you're able to purchase them on Amazon or online. I'm not really going to dive too deep into that part. You guys can do what you want. I just want to put it out there as far as I've never heard of a person getting in trouble for transmitting on these without a license. Like I said, you guys can do with that what you want. I just want to put that out there. So with that being said, technically you do need a license. The beginner level, I believe, is technician. After that it's general, and after that it's extra. So the technician license is really easy. There's plenty of courses online that are free that you can study, and you can take the test online. And I want to say, once you get your license, I think you're good for 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong below in the comments, but I think after you get your technician license, you're good to transmit legally, like I said, on the radio with the FCC. So yeah, with that being said, I kind of wanted to just throw that out there. First off-roading, whether you're off-roading with numerous people, it's nice to have radios in each car. Obviously, if you don't have service with your cell phones, you don't have to pull over, so that's always a nice reason right there. Also, like I said, with some type of natural disaster, whether it's a hurricane, tornado, wherever you're living, depending on your natural environment. So natural disasters is always another good reason you're going to want to have a radio. Another quick topic is how far these can transmit. I'm not exact, like I said. I'm still learning comms myself. I'm still trying to do as much research as I can, but as of my understanding, these are good with the stock antenna that comes with the radio. I think a couple miles depending on your terrain and your bandwidth. But that's kind of the thing I want to talk to you about, is these antennas you can unscrew, obviously, which is why they say you need a license in the first place, which is the first upgrade I want to bring us to, and that's going to be the Nagoya antenna. So the stock antennas will be okay. If you want to upgrade your reception and being able to transmit a lot further, I highly recommend getting the Nagoya antenna. This is only about a $20 antenna. I believe this is the Nagoya 771, and this one is going to be pretty long. So normally I have this kind of rigged up in the strap on my chest rigged so the antenna is out of the way. They do make a Nagoya, I believe it's the R771, which is a retractable one. So that'll still be a good option as well if you want to get that one. But I just have the regular 771. This thing upgrades the reception by at least, let's just throw a random number out there. If you're getting 2 to 3 miles with the standard antenna, I would say you're gonna get at least 10 miles with the Nagoya antenna. So just to throw it out there, I highly recommend getting one of these. When I have used this, I've, like I said, gotten a lot better reception than I had with my standard one that was in the vehicle that I had the standard antenna on. I used the Nagoya one and I had a lot better reception. So again, just to throw that out there, I highly recommend getting one of these. Another thing is when you program your radio, because you do need to program these with your computer. There's a way you can do it manually on the radio itself, but it's a lot easier and it's a lot more efficient if you do it on the computer. I think you have more options as well if you do it on the computer. So when you are programming online, you can limit your distance as far as how far you're transmitting. If you kind of want to minimize that, you can, like I said, can program that with the Chirp software, which is the software you're going to use to program your frequencies and your channels on here. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just wanted to tell you, if you do want to control the bandwidth as far as how far you're transmitting, I believe you are able to do that on the computer when you're programming your radio. So if that's something you're looking for, maybe you don't really need the further antenna, but being able to hear a lot further out with this further antenna, I still think it's worth it, even if you don't want to transmit as far, being that you can control it with the bandwidth when you're programming it. So not to kind of get too nerded out with that, but just wanted to throw that out there. I do recommend getting the Nagoya antenna, and I'm not getting any money off this. This is just personal opinion. Just want to throw that out there, a little disclaimer. So all right, so far we kind of talked about why we need or would want a UV5R. Another reason you want the UV5R is, say you're training with your friends at the range or wherever you're training. It's nice to be able to communicate and actually train with it when you're LARPing with your homies. So obviously at the range, you're training with your friends. You want to be able to be hands-free, or at least minimal hand use, which brings me to my push-to-talk setup. These are going to be my Walker razors. Just want to throw it out there. I have an auxiliary cord that's plugged in, and I just kind of have it taped up to where when I'm not really training with my comms, I'm just at the range, I have it set up like this. And then when I want to start training with comms, or when I want to plug into the comms, I can just pull it out like that. And at that point, I'm going to plug it into my BTech push-to-talk. So this is another upgrade I highly recommend getting. This is about $20 as well. This one has a really nice alligator clip on the back, which is a 360 clip. So basically, whatever angle you're going to want it on your kit, or however you have it rigged, whether it's on your bag, your kit, in your vehicle, you can kind of turn it to whichever way you want to have it, like I said. So the clip is highly worth it alone. Also, this is going to be waterproof. So the UV5R isn't technically waterproof. So if you have this in a pouch or in a bag or somewhat, and you have this if you are training or LARPing with your friends, it's nice to be able to have everything go to your ear probe. My ear probe, these Walker razors don't have a mic on them, so obviously that's why I'm using my push to talk. But yeah, just want to show you guys the basic setup of having your comms set up on your kit. So again, really quick, I want to mention, you might think these two look different, but these are going to be the same. UV5Rs. This is just an extended battery that I got online as well. This is going to be the Baofeng Extended Battery. This is another upgrade. This is the third upgrade that I recommend getting for your comm setup. I highly recommend it. It's going to obviously extend your battery life, and it's also going to make it look more tactical, which is half the battle, right? Looking cool. Just playing. But yeah, it's also going to make it a little bigger for the pouches that you have. Some of them are kind of taller, and instead of having to dig super deep for your little UV5R in the shallow pouches, it's nice to be able to have the radio a little more accessible in these pouches that are kind of built for the taller radios. So really quick, another perk of the extended battery is going to be the port that you're able to charge with a USB. So if you do have no power, obviously you're not going to be able to charge these from your house. So if you have a USB port that you keep charged for emergencies, you're going to be able to have access with the USB cord and the certain jack at the end to charge these. So that's another perk of having these batteries is if worst case scenario, natural disaster, SHTF, whatever, if you do need to charge these with the USB port and the USB cord, you're able to do so. So that's another perk of the extended batteries. Multiple perks of having this extended battery. I highly recommend getting one for your radio setup. Just kind of wanted to put that out there. So do you have to have it? No, you'll be fine if you have the regular batteries. If you do have the regular batteries, I do recommend having some extra battery though on your kit. Even if you have the extended battery, I still run a backup battery in my kit, whether it's my chest rig or my plate carrier, even in my go bag. My truck has one. I have numerous batteries, numerous radios, because that's the cool thing with these UV5Rs is they're only 30 bucks. So over time, you can get a nice fleet going for your whole family, and you guys can all have it set up to where you're all on the same channel. You know what frequency it is. You have it programmed online from the computer already to where you know what channel you're going to go on, and having a backup channel is a good idea as well. So you might wonder why I have some electric tape on here. It's not just to look cool, because obviously electric tape looks cool. It's going to be to minimize the push to talk and hot miking when you don't want to. Because on the UV5Rs, the push to talk button on the side does kind of come out a lot to where it gets pushed when you don't want it to, especially when you have it in kit. So I recommend pulling it off with just a pair of needle nose pliers or a flathead or whatever, but you're just going to pull the little rubber part off, and you can still use the button if you want to. Obviously we're turned off so I can push it, but the button's still able to access it if you want to. It's going to keep it down there hidden a little more to where if you really want to push it, then you can, but you're not going to just hot mic when you don't want to. Another reason I have them like that is these are kind of set up to where these are designated for my kits. This one's going to be for my plate carrier, and this one's in my chest rig. So basically I'm always having them set up with my push to talk in the first place to where I'm not really going to have to use them in my hand. I'm mostly going to be just turning them on and having it on the channel already, and just pretty much accessing through my push to talk. The only time I'd use it is either to change the frequency of the channel. Sorry if I'm blabbing out there. I kind of wanted to just show you guys my comm setup. So again, just a really quick breakdown of the comm setup is UV5R radio, which is $30 or so. The extended battery, which is about $15, so we're at $45-ish. A Nagoya Antenna, which is about $20, so now we're at about $65. The BTech push to talk, which is about $20 as well. So now we're at about $85. An auxiliary cord, which is, let's say, $3. Now we're at about $88. And then some Walker razors, which are like, I think $40 or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. So basically $120, $130 or so, give or take. And you are set up with a nice, decent entry-level comm setup. So again, for the basic comm setup, we're looking at $120, $130 or so, which I highly recommend being. It's going to make you be a lot more prepared. It's going to step your training game up. And honestly, it's a lot of fun being able to communicate with the family, gaining knowledge, being able to just, like I said, up your prepared game a lot more, whether it's for SHTF, natural disaster, off-roading, camping, just all around. It's nice to be able to have some radios out there. So again, extra batteries as well. I highly recommend extra batteries. And one more thing is, this is another auxiliary cord, by the way. One more thing I didn't talk about is when you get the Baofeng, I also recommend getting one of these. This is going to be the cord to program, which is going to be a USB Kenwood cord. You're basically going to plug this into the computer, this into the radio, and once you get your chirp software, which is I believe like $5 or so on the computer, you can program these to where you have all the frequencies that you want already. to where when you go to channel mode, you can just press 1 and that's going to go to the frequency that you have on there already programmed. So let's say you're training with the friends and you have a certain frequency you like, you guys can program that on the computer to channel 1. That way when you turn your radio on,
channel mode, frequency mode, channel mode,
you go to channel mode and then say you press 1,
1,
and then boom, you're on that frequency mode. Let's say people are on there or something's weird going on that one, you guys can have a backup frequency as well. Let's say 2.
2.
That'll be your backup channel mode. So just want to throw that out there. Another thing about these UV5Rs is if there is a natural disaster and you're trying to listen to the FM radio, just to kind of see if you can hear anything going on or whatever, if you're at camp and you want to hear some FM radio, these things do have an FM radio on them as well. Not that that's huge, I just kind of want to put that out there as well.
Channel mode.
Random station. Just want to show you that there is FM radio on here as well. So, not that that's a big deal, just a nice perk as well, having some type of radio on there as well, just if you want to listen in if there is some type of disaster going on. Numerous perks of the UV5R, but yeah, I just wanted to show you that if you are training with your friends or even with your families for disasters, you can go on here on the computer with this cord and program in certain frequencies that you want to have on your radio. You can also program certain channels as far as news channels, disaster channels, stuff like that on here as well. So basically there's frequency mode and then there's
frequency mode.
So there's frequency mode and then there's
channel mode.
Channel mode. So again, we're not going to really go how to operate the UV5R. I just wanted to show you in general that there's the channel mode and you can program them on the computer with this cord. This cord, I believe, is going to be another $20. $140, let's scratch that number earlier. $140, that's with the cord to program with all the other upgrades as well, and you are good to go, including your ear pro. So just want to throw it out there. These are compatible with multiple headsets as far as like the Howard lights, the walkers, any headsets that have an auxiliary cord jack that you can plug into your BTech push to talk, you'll be good to go. If you have like a military style headset like the Comtacs, you are going to want to get something else instead of this BTech push to talk, because the auxiliary cord from the Comtacs aren't going to fit here. I'll go ahead and post it on the screen right here. You're going to want to get one of these just so you know if you do have the Comtac or other military style headsets. But for the most part, most of us are going to have either those Howard lights or the walkers, those style headsets. Basically, those will all be compatible with this BTech push to talk. So sorry if I rambled on there, you guys. I just kind of wanted to go over all these items and pretty much my basic setup and the reasons why I have it set up the way I did, and kind of just give you guys an entry level basic setup to get into the communications kind of radio world. So again, I'm still on the journey. I still have a long ways to go as far as learning the radio world in general. I just wanted to kind of, like I said, throw a basic setup out there to help you guys, at least people that were maybe intimidated like myself, thinking it's a little too much. It's kind of fun, to be honest. There's a lot to learn, and it's kind of nice to be able to check another item off that prepared list. So again, just because you get a radio, don't think you're prepared. Just like if you get a gun, you got to learn how to use it. Just like the radio, you got to learn how to use it. Just like medical and tourniquets, you got to learn how to use those as well. Pretty much any type of kit or gear, like obviously you're going to have to learn how to use. So just want to throw that out there. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I helped some of you guys out there that were kind of looking to get your first radio setup going. And if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any suggestions, like I said, I'm still learning. So if you guys have any suggestions, also shoot me a comment down below. I'd really appreciate that. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed.